It's the #1 Ford fan here today, and in this video I'm going to take a look at my 1 week of driving the all-new Ford Mustang Mach-E premium model. I'm just going to talk to you about the things that I saw and the things I noticed while driving this for the week. So this is it, the Mustang Mach-E. This one you can see here is in the premium. This is in Baker Blue. Now the premium is the middle spec that has 600 kilometers per charge and 216 kilowatts engine power. There's a GT above it and the Select below it. Let's start at the back while I'm at the back. You've got a double click open here. You can see that the one there's for the front trunk and this one's for the back. So the back, there's not much new going on here in a back, nothing really to report. The only thing I'd like to say is that this has 2 levels, so you can level it up, make it higher, or you can level it down and push it there so if you don't want your groceries to roll around. These little 2 things are quite handy for putting something like a bottle of wine or whatever you buy your groceries, you don't have it rolling around. There's one on each side. And also there's just a little light here, 12 volt here, and some little luggage strap hook there. Now just going under, there is no spare tire or space saver. What you have is a run flat kit. This run flat kit here has the paste in it that makes the tire pump up, and you can get you to your tire repairer by using that. It's got a compressor built in as well. The seats go down in, I would say, 70-30 split or 60-40, but I've never put them down, so I can't really report on that. The floating partial shelf stays with the boot, so that's quite handy. It doesn't have all the strings and wires holding it on. It just stays with the actual lid, so it goes down like that. One thing I got used to was having a button to release the boot in the front of the car, but there isn't one. There's only this or the kick. You can see across the back, it has those Mustang looking lights, then this extra bit of LED here, the black pony, the camera, and then you've got the piano black bumper at the back. This is a 19-inch rim. All of the specs get a different looking rim. So our charging is just a push to open. So you've got your 2 types of chargers. You've got your standard one, and then if you want to go to a fast charger, you have that added as well. So we just switched around to the driver's side, and I want to talk to you about the actual handle. This one here, at first glance, was interesting looking, and I wasn't quite sure if I liked it. But as soon as I started using it, I went, oh, I get it, because I just actually love it. It's a really easy one-hand thing. You go through, you push with one hand, you pull with your finger, and it's open. It's just really, really easy to use. Now, there's also a feature built into the door with a pinch point. So if you push it, you can see it's just open, so a little kid can't come along and push it shut. You just can't do it. Also, you can see there is a passcode, so you can get that in. You get one sent to you by Ford, and then you can reset it if you want. I didn't mess with it because this is a dealership car and I'm not going to bother changing the pin and everything and checking it out, but I didn't use it and I didn't have the pin card, so I'm not sure how convenient it's going to be. Moving to the back, you're missing that little finger wing, so you just push to open. And you can see it does have the pinch point as well, because that's probably going to be the most important if you've got kids. And you open it up there. You can also see the Mach-E badging on the side with the little blue in it, showing that it's electric. When you're thinking of buying a Mustang to me is a bit of a head turner. So this is more sedan-y, it's got a higher roof and everything, so it doesn't really look like a Mustang when you look at it. But eventually you start to go, oh, all right, this thing looks pretty wicked. And what I did notice in driving it for just over a week is I had at least 10 people, no less than 10 people come up to me and tell me how awesome this car looks and how much they love it. This is a very, very attractive car and people love looking at it. It doesn't need to have a grille for wind resistance, but it does have the active grille. Now this active grille opens and closes when you actually start the car, turn it on. That allows air to get in to cool the electric motor or the batteries or whatever it's doing inside there. It's a double click here It's not automatic, but it is on gas struts. So if you just lift it up, and it's a fairly deep front trunk, could fit a suitcase, could fit your groceries. I find in the electric car reviews that I watch, I see that they spend a lot of time on the front trunk, and to me a front trunk is almost a bit of a non-event because I don't reverse in much anymore. I just drive in nose in, so if you're at a grocery store or something like that, you know, you have to walk around and you pinch yourself in to get in the groceries and you end up just using the back more than anything. But I really do like how they put the struts on gas here as well. Okay, let's look at the back seat. Now I've got a 14-year-old 6-foot boy. He often complains about size and he thinks he's huge and he wants a lot of space in his car. So you can see here that there's fairly amount of room. I've got the wife sitting in the front. The boy is sitting here. It's set in his seating position. He fits in quite easily. I did hear someone that sat in the back mention there was a lot of room. Now you move to this seat. I'm 6'1", 185, and the seats push back a bit further, so you can see there's not a heck of a lot of room there if you've got a tall front driver. The back seat does have some charging points for your mobile phones. You've got a USB-A, USB-C, and then a vent there for the air conditioner. Also, cup holder there. The really nice red accent stitchings follows its way from the front into the back as well. You've got some perforation and some dimples there. What is very nice is the sunroof. It's an all-glass sunroof with a bit of tint. Now I got this in autumn, so I didn't have a full hot summer, but I'm assuming that your head's not going to burn off, that this tint is going to keep you cool there. But the all-glass sunroof, I think it's not uncommon to some other cars. It's in the Tesla and that sort of thing, but it is really nice to be sitting in the back here. You can see the center console armrest is here. It's got the nice red stitching, but you're lifting that up and you've got the accordion bread box lid here. You got your 12-volt and then place to put your keys as well. Controls here, you've got your E-shifter, your parking brake, your park assist, and your emergency lights. Moving into the front, you can see it's got the same door handle as in the back. The B&O sound system. The B&O sound system, to me, is probably one of the best stereo systems I've heard in a car. Something must to do with the acoustics, could be just to do with how they set it up, but it is just fantastic. When you've got some good vocal music, it's just amazing. So really highly recommend the B&O sound system on this one. So you can see now that you've got the Mustang kick plate on the side, the passenger has the full electric seats, and the red stitching comes through as well. Moving to the driver's side, you can see all the controls on the door, the usual stuff. The memory seats, there's 3 of them here, and for me that's a must. When I have the wife driving, we've got a totally different setup, and she struggles to get hers set up, and having a memory would just be fantastic on a car, but we don't have it, and so I think this is a really good feature. Set up here for one pedal driving. I didn't use one pedal driving. One pedal driving is when you basically let your foot off the accelerator and the car will brake for you. You don't need to use the brake because as soon as your foot's off the accelerator, it will come to a complete stop. Everyone tells me that one pedal driving is the way to go. I didn't feel like I wanted to have the time spending the week training myself how to use it, so I just left it in normal mode. Now there's a really interesting little spot here underneath the console, underneath the wireless charging pad, and I thought, hey, I noticed it when I got the car and I thought that's pretty cool, and then never used it. So you've got to just remember that this cool little spot here, and it's got a nice little rubber mat in it so things won't roll around. You can see this 13-inch panoramic digital cluster. If you place the steering wheel controls in the exact right spot, it just fits in perfectly and is a really handy digital cluster. It doesn't need to be higher because in the end, depending on your head position, you miss it because of the steering wheel. So you can see here it's got the range on the side, the percentage of the battery, temperature there, your seat belts and all sorts of stuff, your speed, traffic recognition, how many Ks the car's done, and your gear selector is there as well. You see that little red light flashing backwards and forwards? In real life, you can't see that. It only can be seen through a camera for some reason, but that's for your driver distraction. That's monitoring your face as well. The steering wheel is done just right, I think. You can see that you've got the red stitching all through there. the black pony and the piano black there and the piano black there. Start stop buttons here. This little bit of dash here is kind of like a carbon look, but it's not smooth, it's kind of lumpy. Looks pretty cool. And then you've got this kind of almost like denim material for the speakers to come through. You can see there's a center speaker there, and there must be speakers in here and here and here, as well as in the door there. Looking down at the wireless charging pad, I've got an Apple 14 Pro Max, the biggest one. It was a little bit clunky, hit and miss charging on there. And you can see there's a USB-A and a USB-C. And this good grip though, the phone didn't slip around. This little mat is really nice there. This is by far the most impressive touch display in any of the cars that I've ever driven or reviewed. It's 13 inches and it's just massive. And there's a couple of things that I like about it. It's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wireless and all that sort of thing. But one of the things I really like is hitting this mode. You can see that if you've got the little 8-inch and you have that mode where you want to have your podcast on and a map at the same time, the map is still pretty big. In those little 8-inch ones, the map is tiny, and if you have your podcast showing and that sort of thing, you almost need to go to full map mode. It has the sketch pad built in. You can never use it because the car has to be stopped. Like, you can't be just at lights and use it. You have to actually be stopped and in park. So, you know, unless you're sitting waiting for something, you can make a drawing, but didn't find that terribly useful. You have your 360-degree cameras. You have got all your views. You can touch that and it just tells you a sensor of things where you're around, what's around you. And then you've got a different view through the back, or your standard 360 view. Very handy. You can turn the parking noises off if you want, if it's beeping too much. So that's quite a handy feature. Okay, let's say we're back at our main screen, and this is the main settings button. This is the one you want to do to get to everything. And then you can see there's the drive modes. You've got Whisper, Active, and Untame. Now, I didn't play with it. I just used Active. I turned one pedal drive off. I didn't want it. The propulsion sound, I just drove by my son and said, what did it sound like? And he said it was cool, and then I turned it off because I'd like to just see how quiet the car is. This jog wheel is interesting. It takes just a little bit of use and then you sort of figure it out. But what happens is you've got this main control and it defaults to volume, so it just stays there. But as soon as you touch something, if you touch the fan, it turns into a fan controller. If you touch the heated seats, it turns into a heat-seated controller. And obviously temperature as well. That jog wheel, I think, is going to start showing itself in a lot of more Ford vehicles because it's actually quite handy. Up here, you've got your lights and sunglass holder. Okay, now for the major argument for going for the Mustang or not going for the Mustang. Now, if you look at the price for this one, I'm not going to mention the price because they change a bit and that will date the video, but if you look at the price for the premium, you can get a Tesla Model Y optioned up in the performance pack as well, and you're going to get some change. The thing that I think people are going to say when they look at this car is it is a bit expensive. Yes, it is a bit expensive, but it's flawless. There's not one thing in this car that I do not like. Everything works perfectly. Everything is designed beautifully. It is just a very lovely car. And if you want to get in an electric car and you think, oh, everyone's got Teslas, this thing is unique. This thing is a head turner. People look at it on the road, people want to know what it is, people are interested in it. So if you want a bit of a unique look from your car, then this is the one for you. Now, I also want to talk to you about my charging experience. I'm here in Adelaide, South Australia, and it's still just too hard. Now, you picture my lifestyle. I'm a video professional. I film things. I drive around to different clients. I've got an unsteady schedule. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. If you can't charge the car at night in your house, you're really going to be stuck. So I was at one client's location. I got a phone call from another client and I had to go. I'm getting near the end of my charge. I'm looking at the battery. I'm going, how far is it going to be? I'm looking on the ChargeFox app. Where are all the charging? And then you get a bit nervous. Is there going to be someone there? Because there's only going to be 2 ports. Is that port going to work? Do I have the right cable? All these things you start stressing about. So eventually what I did is I had to wind my way into the city. I called the client, I cancelled. I said, look, I've got to charge, I'm sorry, I'm reviewing a car. And then I went into a car park, found the charger. It was great. It was a 68 kilowatt charger. Brilliant. That's going to charge really quickly. To get the car to 90%, it cost $59 plus $10 for the car park. So in the end, if you're looking to buy an electric car just because you want to save money, this is not the way to do it. You're going to have to be charging at home, using your solar, really trickle charging at the right times, using that sort of thing, because if you're going to rely on trying to charge here, there and everywhere, it's going to be frustrating. It's going to end in failure. If you have any questions about the Ford Mustang Mach-E, leave them in the comments below. I'll look at them and answer them for you. Also, consider subscribing. I'm the #1 Ford fan. Thanks very much for watching.